Welcome to today's Explainer. I am incredibly excited about our topic today because, well, we are about to challenge one of the absolute most sacred rules in the entire business world. You've probably heard it a million times, right? Build products that solve pain points. Well, what if that's actually terrible advice? Today, we're exploring why truly great products don't start with features, they start with unfinished activity. We're going to break down this fascinating framework called activity gap analysis and show exactly how to apply it to a real-world example. Okay, let's dive right into this. Think about a complaint that literally every founder or product builder has heard at some point. I need a better CRM. Users are annoyed, their workflow is slow, so they point at the tool they're using and just demand a better version of it. And it's so tempting to look at that and think, great, let's just build a few new CRM features. But honestly, that is a total trap. It's way too shallow. Actually, scratch that. If we just cross out that superficial complaint with red ink, we revealed a much deeper, structural truth hiding right beneath it. Our team cannot turn scattered customer signals into a shared understanding of what to do next. Do you see the difference there? The user doesn't actually want more software. They want a way to turn a massive mess into a clear direction. The underlying activity itself is what's broken. Enter activity gap analysis. This framework completely abandons the whole hunt for pain points. Instead, it focuses entirely on activity reconstruction. We are hunting for the exact moment where a purposeful action completely breaks down. Because a truly valuable product isn't just a Band-Aid, and it's definitely not just a list of features. It's an instrument of transformation. It enters the user's workflow as the exact missing piece they need to finally get the job done. So, here's our roadmap for the day. First, we'll cover the illusion of pain points. Second, the anatomy of an unfinished action. Third, the types of gaps. Fourth, a breakdown of B2B sales. And fifth, designing the missing link. Section 1, the illusion of pain points, and why surface questions are just way too shallow. If you try to solve a perceived pain point by just asking what they want, like, I need an AI assistant, you're probably just going to build another generic chatbot feature. It doesn't actually solve the root issue. But look at the deeper activity on the other side. I have raw material, and I cannot transform it into a decision. Solving that builds a true transformative product that actually finishes the user's broken loop. Moving right along to Section 2, Anatomy of an Unfinished Action, which is the basic topology of activity. And this brilliantly illustrates our core mechanical blueprint. Any purposeful activity is basically a chronological transformation. Step 1, the actor starts with initial material, like raw data or a really messy document. Step 2, they apply operations and tools. That's their knowledge or their software clicks. Step 3, all of this is meant to yield the desired product or result. Material becomes product. Simple enough, right? But here is the multi-million-dollar question. Where does this activity fail to close? That place, that exact point of failure, is the gap. And that gap is exactly where your product opportunity lives. It's literally the missing means of transformation. Which brings us to Section 3, types of gaps, or where the friction actually happens. So, there are 4 critical gaps that tend to derail these transformations, causing repeated friction and delay. First, the normative gap. This is when the user doesn't even know what good looks like. Second, the awareness gap. They're looking through the wrong frame entirely, like thinking they need volume when they really need precision. Third, the material gap. Their starting input is just pure messy noise. And fourth, the transformation gap, where the material simply refuses to become the desired result no matter what they do. All right, let's pivot to Section 4, breakdown of B2B sales, and actually apply this framework to reality. Most people think a B2B seller's job is lead generation, right? Just grabbing names and firing off a million emails. But that's a total illusion. The true activity they're actually trying to achieve is opportunity formation. I mean, finding leads is pointless if they don't convert. Forming a real viable opportunity, now that is a true valuable transformation. So let's look at Step 1, the initial material. Sellers don't start their day with clean, eager leads. They start with market noise. We're talking messy data, totally outdated funding signals, thousands of irrelevant contacts, and scattered LinkedIn profiles. It is just pure, unadulterated noise. Now contrast that chaotic noise with Step 3, the desired product. The seller doesn't just want an email address. They need a living, breathing commercial possibility. They need a high-fit account, a relevant stakeholder, plausible pain, a rock-solid value hypothesis, and a clear next step. Transforming the initial noise into this highly structured output is incredibly difficult. Now, what's really interesting about this is how it exposes the awareness gap. The seller's own perception actually hides their true problem. They think, oh, I need more leads, which is a volume problem. But the real gap is precision. I can't tell who to contact right now. They think their message is weak, when in reality, they lack a specific value hypothesis. The real friction is a broken transformation from noise to intelligence. Let's wrap up with Section 5, Designing the Missing Link, where we reconstruct the activity loop. Let's look at the painful existing reality first, the broken loop. It goes from market noise to incredibly manual list building to generic spammy outreach, which eventually leads to a low response rate and completely random meetings. The seller is expending tons of effort, but the sheer volume of activity doesn't guarantee a result at all. The loop simply does not close. Now let's move on and see how this builds into the new activity loop, powered by a targeted product. We filter the market signals, immediately isolate the high-fit accounts, generate a highly relevant hypothesis, and boom, we end up with a qualified opportunity. The product finally becomes the bridge right over that gap. So, what does the minimum viable product, the MVP, of this opportunity formation system actually look like? Well, it connects those fragmented pieces into a unified workflow. You input target segments, the system scores accounts and detects buying triggers, and the output is a prioritized list. Then you input your value proposition, the system generates a tailored hypothesis, and outputs a contextual outreach strategy. It doesn't just automate emails, it completely reconstructs the workflow from noise to opportunity. And how do we actually prove this new product works? Success isn't about vanity metrics, like counting how many AI-generated emails you blasted out. It's all about how efficiently the loop closes. We want a higher quality reply rate, we want more meetings from fewer accounts, we want a higher pipeline generated per seller, and a much, much shorter time from selecting an account to actually having a meaningful business conversation. Which leaves us with this final truly provocative takeaway. Stop just asking people what hurts. Don't hunt for pain points, hunt for unfinished activity. Find the broken transformation, design the missing means, and close the loop. So I'll leave you with this question. What unfinished activity are your users struggling with right now? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy building!